If a lot of Republicans had their way, they would just shut the EPA down. It wouldn't be operating right now. And that may sound like a worst case scenario, but it turns out that in a lot of ways, the EPA continuing to operate under Donald Trump might be worse. I've been following a lot of the changes and rules changes that the EPA has been doing recently, and I want to run you through a few. You'll notice that all of them are extremely beneficial to corporate interests. First, the EPA announced that it would not ban a widely used pesticide, chlorpyrifos, that its own experts have linked to serious health problems in children. The EPA rejected a major study conducted by Columbia University on its effects on children in New York City. So internal EPA science, an outside study, both showing that this pesticide is extremely damaging to young developing brains, but corporate interests like using it as a pesticide. And so while previously a judge had ruled that they had to ban it, they're not actually going to do that. The substance, sold under the commercial name Lorsban, has already been banned for household use, but remains in widespread use by farmers for more than 50 fruit, nut, cereal, and vegetable crops. In 2016, more than 640,000 acres were treated with it in California alone.
So there's two elements to the story. One is the dangerous things that they're putting into our environment for corporate interests. Also in April, the agency disregarded advice from its own experts when officials issued a rule that restricted but did not ban asbestos, a known carcinogen. Agency scientists and lawyers had urged the EPA to ban asbestos outright, as do most other industrialized nations, because they actually care about their citizens and are not run on behalf of corporations. So I can't believe they didn't ban asbestos. So, but here we go again. And so they're not trying to get you to believe that this, not just asbestos, but the chemical that we're talking about in this case, in this story, are not dangerous and are safe. They're not trying to get you to believe that. All they're trying to do is create doubt. They got to manufacture doubt, and if they manufacture doubt, then they get to say, well, I mean, no way of knowing, right? So they do this over and over again. That leads me to the second part. Now, EPA acknowledged that it was doing away with surprise inspections recently, and they characterized that as for the sake of transparency and communications. Well, that sounds pretty good, right? Hey, transparency and honesty, that's wonderful. And they're trying to coordinate with the state interests, et cetera. No, they're doing it to protect corporations. Because if you don't do a surprise visit to see if they're polluting or violating the laws, then they get prepared for you coming and they clean up.
Yeah, transparency.
And you never catch them if you don't do surprise. And by the way, even if you're a right winger, you agree to that. Because if I said to you, hey, you know what? Let's not do surprise visits on Iran's nuclear power plants. Let's just tell Iran ahead of time that we're coming, and then I'm sure it'll be fine. You'd be like, no way, that doesn't make any sense. Those guys will clean it up right before the inspectors come. Exactly. Okay, so then they turn around, they say approve the broad use of pesticide. I'm so bad with these.
Sulfoxaflor.
That, which is known to harm bees. And this year the agency announced curbs on a lethal chemical found in paint stripping products that represented a weakening of a ban that the Obama administration proposed. Now look, if you kill the bees, we're all in massive danger. Not just the bees, but they affect the entire ecosystem, and humans are in danger. I have to explain that because the right wing doesn't know anything. They're like, oh, what, I don't care about animals. I want to save the humans. If the bees are gone, we're screwed. All right, anyway, but the reason I brought it up is the second part. It's a lethal chemical, and they say, oh, no, it's good because we're putting a curb on it. No, it was previously banned. You're unbanning it, and they're pretending that you limited it. Now, if you thought it was a good thing, you wouldn't pretend. You'd be like, oh yeah, of course, this lethal chemical is awesome. That's why we put it in the air and the water and the floors and the walls, right? No, you say, oh, I curbed it. The reason you're lying is because you don't serve the American people, you serve your corporate donors. Last one, and it comes back to this. They said that in the case of these pesticides, right? It is absolutely clear that based on the Columbia University study, that they actually do provide brain damage in kids. Now that's pretty significant, right? Well, they did this bit of prevarication. They said, well, look, because of transparency, if you're gonna do any study that affects humans, we need to know who those individuals are because we care about transparency. We're all about open government, right? Well, they know that in scientific studies, they cannot let you know who the actual individuals are because that's an invasion of their privacy. So they then they then turn around and go, well, since we can't find out who the people are in this Columbia study, we ourselves cannot do a study to confirm it. Since we haven't confirmed it, I guess it's inconclusive, so that's why we're gonna allow it. The depth of that lie shows you who's on the right side and who's on the wrong side. See, this is how politics works, where they change the words and it's not torture anymore, it's enhanced interrogation, and you've seen all that happen. But these sophisticated lies are the ones that are even more dangerous, and it's incumbent on the press to point out that they are in fact completely and utterly misleading.
Yeah, this was just to catch you up on like the last week or so, but the New York Times recently had a little summary of all the environmental regulations that have been stripped away so far under Donald Trump. I think it's under like 83. I posted an image of it on my Instagram, but it's a breakdown by different categories, and it always points unilaterally in the direction of big interests.
Yep, and them continuing to make money. And the thing is we as individuals, of course, we can move for states and governor, Congress, whatever we can to have it banned at the state level, but also at the individual level, we cannot shop at places that necessarily buy products from that vendor. And we've seen a lot of this work in terms of large companies that are selling us these goods. They will stop buying from individuals who are providing products that are enhanced with a substance, and that's problematic. And so we can do that, and we can find out that information, and we can boycott to make this stop, because really, brain damage in children, come on.
Yeah, and look, call it what it is. It's corruption. It's the corporate donors give them money, which used to be called bribes. There's no other reason. Who in the EPA is sitting around going, should we give kids brain damage or shouldn't we? Right? The only reason you'd have that conversation is if someone bribed you to have that conversation. Those are now legal in America. You could just simply bribe all the politicians and call it campaign expenditures or independent expenditures. But none of the Democrats will call it corruption, because a lot of them take corporate money too. Most of them take corporate money. So God forbid they utter the one word that describes Washington best: corrupt.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.